So if you haven't heard the horrible news, Matthew Perry, the famous actor of the hit TV series Friends, who played the character Chandler, passed away at his home in Los Angeles, California on Saturday, October 28, 2023, of an apparent drowning. Now, this is tragic, guys. I mean, it's absolutely horrible to hear this. He was only 54 years old, and it's only a few years older than I am. I can only imagine the pain and suffering that his family is feeling and all of his fans missing him from around the world. So before Matthew's passing, he actually made some shocking statements that I don't think a lot of us are aware of. And these statements are profound, and we need to talk about them. Let's get started. Matthew's life is actually a tragic one. Now, you would think, with all of the success that he's had from all the hit TV series he's been on, that life would be, as Matthew attests, it was far from it. Right from Matthew's early life, he became addicted to substances. Now, it's possible that this is attributed to him being placed on a drug known as phenobarbital when he was an infant of just 30 days old for colic. Phenobarbital is a barbiturate which can treat insomnia as well as withdrawals from alcohol and other narcotics, and it's quite possible that this actually triggered some sort of substance abuse dependency in his body from an early age. Matthew started drinking at the age of 14, and by the age of 18, he was drinking on a regular basis. While shooting the series Friends, Matthew recalls that he was taking cocaine, sometimes up to 55 pills a day of different narcotics, and while alive, he refused to go back and watch the series because through the different seasons, he could see himself progress in his substance abuse. He knew based on how heavy or light he was, where he was at in that substance abuse roller coaster that he lived throughout his life. In fact, at one point, in order to get more medications, he would go to people's open houses. So somebody's selling a home, they have an open house. He would rummage through their medicine cabinets and look for prescriptions that he could take, and he would only take the ones he recalls that were sort of out of date and that were full, so people hadn't been taking any longer, because as he states, he doesn't want to take somebody's medication that they're currently using or need. Finally, this all culminated in a burst colon as a result of an opioid overdose. Matthew was placed on an ECMO, which is a sort of life-saving device that's usually used as a Hail Mary, a last-ditch effort to save somebody's life. Matthew has stated that the night that he was placed on this device to save his life, there were several other people, I think 4, in the hospital at the time, put on the device. Out of the 5 of them, Matthew was the only one to survive. He was estimated to have only a 2% chance of survival. Now, it was after this tragedy of Matthew's suffering and dealing and struggling with addiction that he finally came to grips that he needed something more. He needed help. He needed something beyond himself to get him through this. So at this time, he did something quite drastic. He prayed to God. "God, please help me," I whispered. "Show me that you are here, God. Please help me." As I kneeled, the light slowly began to get bigger and bigger, until it was so big that it encompassed the entire room. What was happening? And why was I starting to feel better? I started to cry. I mean, really started to cry. That shoulder-shaking kind of uncontrollable weeping. I wasn't crying because I was sad. I was crying because for the first time in my life, I felt okay. I felt safe, taken care of. Decades of struggling with God and wrestling with life and sadness, all was being washed away, like a river of pain, gone into oblivion. I had been in the presence of God. I was certain of it, and this time I had prayed for the right thing: help. Now look, guys, I don't know for sure whether or not Matthew was a Christian, and I will talk about that in just a second. But before I do, I want to mention how you can know for certain. It's this simple. In the Bible, Paul writes in Romans chapter 10, verse 9, "Because if you confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart God raised him from the dead, you will be saved." Guys, it's that simple. Now, while I can't know for certain whether or not any of you are saved, in fact, I can only know about myself, I can make a reasonable inference from Matthew's prior statements of quoting New Testament scripture and understanding a lot of concepts of Christianity. And with him using these concepts in the way he speaks, I can make that reasonable inference that he probably was saved. And what is most magnificent is that Matthew credits God for his ability to start to defeat these addictions. All throughout his book, which I would encourage you to check out and read, he talks about this. He wants others to experience this freedom from addiction, this life-changing experience that you can have through God. And in fact, we've been discussing something very similar in our series on sanctification. So if you want to hear more about this, whether we're talking about chemical addictions, addictions to other kinds of sin, you can join us. I'll put a link down in the description for the series on sanctification that we're working on right now. Matthew, we love you, and I personally look forward to seeing you again one day in heaven. For the rest of you, we love you too, and I hope to get to see each and every one of you there one day as well. Take care, and God bless.